Alright, we're going to do a video here on adding and subtracting whole numbers. So I'm going to take 386 and I'm going to add it to 237. We're not going to do this the traditional way, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break the 386 into its components. So I have 3 hundreds, 8 tens, and 6 ones. I'm going to do the same for the 237. And notice how I'm lining up hundreds with hundreds, tens with tens, and one numbers with one numbers. Now to get my answer, I'm going to add everything up. The nice thing about this way is it doesn't really matter where you start. So I can start with the biggest numbers, I can go into the ones, and then finally I can get the tens. All I need to do to get my final answer now is add all these three numbers together. Now, some kids have a trouble with 110, so you can break that into 110. 13, same thing, you can break it into 10 plus 3. Now you have numbers that are friendly for you. So it's pretty easy to add 500 to 100. It's going to give us 600. Plus 10, 610. Plus 10 more, 620. Plus the 3, 623. Let's try another question, but let's do a subtracting question this time. Now, I'm purposely going to make this subtracting question, so we don't really need to borrow on it. I'm making all the numbers on the bottom smaller than the numbers on the top. A lot of times in this situation, kids get confused because they add things together. Now don't forget, the plus signs in between the numbers here, it's just that we're expanding it out. Hundreds under hundreds, tens under tens, ones under ones. So now I'm going to subtract. If the bottom numbers are smaller than the top ones, you can start subtracting wherever you want. As long as you don't need to borrow, you're fine. So I'm going to do 600 minus 300. I'm going to get 300. 20 take away 10 is 10, and 3 take away 2 is 1. To get my final answer, I add all those together. So I get 311. Let's do another question, but this time I'm going to put borrowing in it. So in this case, some of the digits on the bottom are going to be larger than the digits on the top. I'm still going to expand everything out like we've been doing so far. So here we go. 700 plus 80 plus 6. And then the second number is going to be 400 plus 90 plus 7. And now I'm going to do some subtracting. Now I'm going to start with the 6. I can't take away 7 from 6. I don't have enough. So I'm going to borrow. Good thing about borrowing here is that you can borrow from wherever you want. I'm going to borrow from the 80. And notice I'm just borrowing 1. So that turns the 6 into a 7. Easy subtracting now, right? 7 take away 7 is nothing. Second number, I have 79, but I have to take 90 away from it. Again, I have to borrow. I have to be at least equal to 90 or over 90. So in this case, I'm going to borrow 20, and the 79 is going to become 99. But that's an easy subtraction anyway, because I have 99 take away 90, which leaves me with 9. Last subtracting, pretty straightforward as well. 680 minus 400 is 280. To get my final answer, I add all these things together. I get 289. Let's do the same question again, but now I'm going to borrow from different numbers. Before I borrowed from the tens. This time I'm going to borrow from a different place. So let's take a look at it. Expand it out like we always do. 700 plus 80 plus 6. We've got 400 plus 90 plus 7. Now we're going to subtract. So we can't do 7 things from 6 things, so we have to borrow. So I'm going to borrow from the 700 this time. So it's going to become 699. It just went down by 1. So that means the 7 can go up, the 6 can go up to 1 to 7. So now I have easy subtracting again. 7 take away 7 is nothing. 80 take away 90. Can't do it. So I'm going to borrow 10 from the 699 and turn it into 689. That means the 80 can become 90. So now I have 90, subtract 90. Well, that's 0. And the last thing I need to do is subtract the 400 from the 689, which leaves me with 289. I add those together. I get my answer. All right, let's try some practice questions. After you have these written down, solve them Pause the video first though. When you want to see the answers, just restart the video and it'll show you the answers. All right, let's take a look at the answers. So 398, we're going to expand that out to 300 plus 90 plus 8. We're going to expand out the 286 to 200 plus 80 plus 6. And now we're going to add these things together. Don't forget, you can add wherever you want. I'm just going to start with the ones. And finally, 300 and 200 is 500. Get my final answer, add all those together. If you're going to have trouble adding 170, don't forget you can always break that into 100 plus 70. And you can also break the 14 into 10 plus 4. Now all you need to do is add those parts together. So that's pretty straightforward. 500 plus 100 is 600, plus 70 is 670. 670 plus 10 is going to be 680, plus the 4 is 684. All right, let's do the subtracting one. This one you have to borrow because some of the digits on the bottom are larger than the digits on the top. But let's expand them out. We have 700 plus 60 plus 2. We've got 500 plus 80 plus 7. And now we can do some subtracting. Notice we can't take away some of the numbers on the bottom from the ones on the top. So I can't take away 7 things from 2 things. I need to borrow. So I'm going to borrow 5. And I'm borrowing 5 from the 60, so the 60 turns into 55, allows the 2 to go up to 7. Now I have some easy subtracting. 7 minus 7 is nothing. I've got 55, take away 80. Can't do, gotta borrow. So I'm going to borrow from the hundreds now, and I'm going to borrow 30. And by doing that, the 55 changes to 85. So now I have 85, take away 80. That leaves me with 5. Last subtracting bit, I have 670 minus 500, which is 170. Add those together to get your final answer, 175.